This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
I come across all sorts of videos, and I watched one with this financial advisor. He was from Charles Schwab, and he talked about the 3 tips to retire in a volatile market. I want to see if you agree with his advice here, David. He says, number 1, don't sell in a down market. Number 2, cut back on your spending. And number 3, consider a part-time job. I hear lots of folks these days talking about that part-time job in retirement. I wonder if you do too. So not exactly the list I was hoping for or looking to have to choose from when it makes me think, someone like you, a financial advisor, if I'm thinking about these other things, have you done your job, or is there something we're missing here?
Yeah, here's the problem. These are your choices when you don't have a proactive plan, a design that's strategically around your income needs for the future. What happens is when people retire, they just kind of keep their investments in the same areas of growth in their accumulation years while they were working and continue with that type of plan in their income distribution years. And here's what we see quite often. People are okay when the markets are going up and their portfolios and their 401ks, their IRAs are growing in value. Now, when you are taking a paycheck from those investments, you're selling off some of your shares. But when the markets go down, your share values are much lower. You got to sell a lot more shares. Now, that's a very vulnerable position to be in when you're in your income distribution phase in retirement, because if that happens early on in your retirement, you could blow up your retirement prematurely years down the road. It might be 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and now you're out of money. That's called sequence of returns risk. And when you're doing strategic planning, you should have a well thought out income distribution plan that protects you from that ever happening. You need to have your money invested differently in your income years as compared to your growth years when you're accumulating money. We get calls all the time because the biggest challenge that people seem to have is creating income from their nest egg, an income that they're comfortable in taking and knowing it's always going to be there. We had a call a couple of months back, and it was a couple that they've been retired for probably about a year, and they were taking money out of their investment plan, and they have an investment person, and what they were concerned about was when they were taking their money out, they could see that they were depleting principal because they're selling off shares, because what they experienced was there was a market drop, and what they wanted to find out from the advisor was, how do we prevent this from happening? Well, they didn't have any solutions other than going into a money market account or something that wasn't sensitive to the market volatility. And, when you're not creating enough income yield, you're going to have to sell off shares. So what we did was we did a portfolio investment analysis. We showed them how much risk they were taking and how little yield they were getting from the mix of their investment plan. And so we structured a different plan using alternative investments. And this is the key. You got to do things differently with different tools. But we also looked at how they were taking their money out of their investments that were in taxable investments, tax deferred, and they had a little bit in tax free. But the other thing you want to look at is when you're in your income years, how do you take your money tax efficiently? So when you have to cut back on your spending, or you don't sell in a down market when you need your money, you're not in the right plan. Here's the key. You need a plan first to make these decisions on how you should invest your money. The plan will identify what you need to create in the form of income to supplement your other sources, whether it's Social Security and pensions, maybe rental income. And the plan is the critical component of making all your decisions, because if we look into the future with what you're doing today and what you need to have going forward into the future to have the lifestyle you want and spend the money you need to spend adjusted for inflation and taxes, this plan design will make it easy for us to have a meaningful conversation and create a strategic plan for you to invest your money in the right places, so you're not selling in a down market. You don't have to cut back on your spending, and you don't have to work a part-time job. So when this couple came in and they saw that we put together a methodical plan And they knew exactly where their money was going to be invested to create the income without selling shares, and how much money was allocated in a different way in their investment plan to produce some other benefits long-term into the future. In addition to that, not only did we solidify their income plan, and we're able to keep pace with inflation, even at aggressive assumptions where inflation was higher, we were able to achieve their income needs through age 100. And here's the other thing. When you're planning into the future and you're a married couple, you have to have contingency plans built in. So if somebody passes away, things will change, right? If you have Social Security, if you each have Social Security as a couple, one of the Social Securities goes away for the survivor.
Sure, yeah.
So you got to have a backup plan strategy in the event of death. And you also have to have a backup plan in the event of out-of-pocket health care. So if you really want to get a better handle on whether your retirement is on a pace of success or failure, and you want to get better clarity as to what it might look like in the future and have some feedback on how to really tighten up all those loose ends and make sure that when you do retire, it's achievable and you don't have to worry about the market losing you money or you running out of money, give us a call. Let us do the comprehensive forecast analysis and give you some better feedback on whether it's going to work or not, because you need to find this out today. Because, if these things are occurring in your blind spot that could hurt you later, well, it may be too late to fix the problem. So let's identify those problems today, put together a strategic plan, and make sure it all works out for you.
And again, it all comes down to you, your wants, your needs, your desires. It begins with this one-on-one conversation, this forecast analysis, and putting together that strategic financial plan for you. 203-872-0009. 203-872-0009. You can also get more details on the website at masteringyourwealthradio.com. It turns out, social media, they always have these weird trends going on, whether it's a dance or like a water or ice bucket challenge, what have you. Well, turns out these trends are stretching across to even boomers with grandkids. I'll tell you what I mean here. There's a new trend among boomers to skip their adult children and go right to the grandkids with their inheritance. So they're giving them the money while they're still alive so they can see their grandchildren actually use it. So, David, you do a lot of estate planning and stuff like that, inheritance planning. Have you seen this, and does it take special planning?
Yeah. The first thing we always do is make sure we get a solid strategic financial plan in place. That's your living plan while you're alive. You want a plan in place that you're going to follow and it's going to work out the way you want it to, because you have it planned out. But we also want to make sure we coordinate an estate plan alongside that, so that, God forbid, something happens and you pass away and your spouse passes away, that you see that transition of your financial plan assets into your estate plan, and it gets to the people you intended it to get in the way you wanted them to get it. When you're in your financial plan, we want to make sure you're very efficient in your financial decisions. And when you're efficient, meaning that you're taking less risk, you're getting higher yields, you're paying least amount in taxes legally because you have a tax strategy, and you're just going to create more wealth over time because of that type of planning. Well, when we have that transition into the estate plan, we want to make sure we're taking advantage of the tax reduction opportunities in an estate plan. But I am seeing that people are skipping their children to get assets over to their grandchildren. So it's multi-generational planning. And we accomplish that through a number of ways. And it's going to be a lot of times with certain types of trust. And we might use life insurance in the equation. But when people are alive, they like to see some of the benefits while they're alive by giving money away to their grandkids and children as well. But, you can gift so much per year to your grandkids. But the thing is, since many of them are underage, they're not adults, you're going to want to have a trust in place that a trustee will be responsible for managing those assets, and the grandparents can be the trustee, but you can have contingent trustees if something were to happen to them. They like to see the benefits of their children and grandchildren while they're alive. And a lot of my clients help their children buy or put down payments on a home, or maybe supplement their college. If we're looking at 3 generations, we have the grandparents, we have the adult children, and we have the grandchildren. We can create a lot of financial leverage in putting life insurance on the children that the grandparents can give premiums to. And it all depends on what outcome that they're trying to plan for. So if you want to really truly protect your family and create a lot of value for them, it comes down to a well thought out financial plan alongside your estate plan. And we have some families that have plenty of money, or retirees that have plenty of money, and they know that they don't need a fraction of it, and so they're going to start giving away some or gifting away some of the money to see their grandkids benefit and their adult children. But it comes down to putting together a well thought out plan and make sure that it's set up in a way that you can protect it in a way, because sometimes we have children that don't handle money well. So there's certain ways you can control that with spendthrift trust and things like that. So I think it really is important to have that conversation once your financial plan is put together. What do you want your estate plan to accomplish?
Well, and that's the question everyone has to ask. What do I want it to accomplish? If you don't know the answers, or you've been thinking about this, how do I, leave inheritance, or I want to see him enjoy it, or how do I make sure I'm planning tax efficiently? Let's give you the opportunity to sit down with David one-on-one. Start putting this estate and inheritance plan together today. 203-872-0009. Again, that's 203-872-0009. 0009. Are you a fan of the comedian? His name is Bill Engvall. You a fan of him from Blue Collar Comedy?
Haven't seen him in a while, but I've seen him in the past. He is funny.
Oh, yes. He's always got some good one-liners here. He retired actually 2 years ago from stand-up. That's why you haven't seen him. It's long enough that he feels qualified to now offer some tips here and there. Listen to this.
Number one, you're going to find that you have a lot of time on your hands. Now, I thought that meant I'd have more time for golf or fishing or whatever I love to do. But as it turns out, it's just more time for me to spend with my wife, like driving her to the hair salon, driving her to the nail salon, or just doing things together like talking to the grocery store shopping cart guy. I know his name now. Why? Because I've had to drive my wife to the grocery store so many more times. So as you go through retirement, remember this. You have a lot of time, but it's not yours. Happy retirement.
There's probably a lot of husbands out there that might feel the same. But, he's exactly right. You have time on your hands, more time than you could ever imagine. And how are you going to fill that time? That's a big deal. And, retirement, it really does. It changes everything, especially at home, your relationship with your spouse. But, how often have you helped a couple sit down and have the talk, David, about what retirement actually looks like? And I'm talking about beyond the numbers, beyond the financial part.
Sometimes it's a therapy session. I have to kind of walk them through, because a lot of people.
Sometimes it's a boxing match.
Yeah. Because think about it. When you retire, your life changes quite a bit, because your structured day while you're working is no longer there. When you're working, what your day's going to be like. You're going to go to your work. You're going to do whatever you do in your career. And you've been doing that for years and years, and you got that paycheck coming in, everything's predictable. But when you retire, now you got to figure out, what am I going to do in my day? A lot of people, before you actually retire, practice it first. So if you have the ability to take a whole month off, so you have all this vacation time built up, and your plan was to spend time in Florida or go and do some things with the family or whatever it might be, take at least a long period of time and see how you react to that, how you enjoy it or you don't enjoy it. Because if you can practice it first to see what it might be like, then it might make the decision about retiring a little bit better or easier. Because a lot of times people, when they retire, they have a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of stress involved. But retirement is really a big adjustment for a lot of people emotionally.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, BWA, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and First Financial Planners are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BWA, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
David Gagnon and First Financial Planners are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interests of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure of the ADV 2A Item 4 for additional information.